and hello. My name is Kara Segers and I will be one of your presenters today next to my colleague Iris van Kouwenberg, and we will talk to you more about governance and compliance with Microsoft O365. A little later today we're going to talk about insider risk management and how you can handle it by using Microsoft 365 compliance and security. Later then, we are still going to talk about one of our live cases of one of our recent clients in dealing with insider risk. There we're going to go much deeper into Microsoft insider risk and privileged access management. Let's have a look at the overlooked insider threat. Insider threat is actually something which is inevitable within day-to-day businesses. We are all dealing with people that are working for our companies. Insider threats can be for topics such as fraud, reputational damage, data breaches, confidential information, or other. In order to manage these insider threats, there are three things you should be looking at. First, have a look at which of these insider threats are relevant for your organization. Second, have a look at which kind of data is related to these insider threats. And three, make sure you have the right policies and procedures in order to manage these. So what can you do when you are dealing with insider threats? At KPMG, we have made a holistic framework to deal with insider threat management. You see this here right on screen. It has 4 main domains that you need to look at. We're going to look just quickly at those 4. One of them is foundational elements. The foundational elements are here to really help you improve and enhance the foundational process and procedures that are needed to manage insider risk. These could be such as third-party management, physical security, or privileged access management. A second domain is protect. Protect is all about preventing risks from happening. This can be through communication, awareness, policy and procedures, or other. The third domain is about detect. In detect, we of course want to detect what's going on when it actually has happened, so that actually your team can take necessary action. Here, your teams will also need the necessary tools and tool sets in order to support these detect activities. And last but not least, we have respond. In respond, we actually want to make sure that we know what to do once these incidents have occurred. Today, during this session, we're going to go a little bit more deeper into the foundational elements with Microsoft Privileged Access Management and Detect with Microsoft 365 Insider Risk Management. Next up, it is going to talk to you about our real-life business case where we have handled insider risk management for one of our recent clients.
Thank you, Kara. Now let's have a look at the case of the curious IT administrator. We have a real-life customer case. For confidentiality reasons, we have rebranded it to Fabricam, who is in the manufacturing sector. Now, there is Alex. Alex is an IT administrator who had the pleasure of snooping around in HR's personnel files. It's sensitive, it's GDPR related, and as a consequence, nobody knows what he did, why he did it, and what his intentions were. Now, thinking about GDPR, it's a severe breach. Second of all, they don't know what happened after it with the data because there is no monitoring, there is no auditing, nothing was enabled, so they couldn't answer our questions later on to define what the breach really was. As a consequence, we need to talk about privileged access management, insider risk management, to see how we can handle this from the future on. Over to you, Kara.
Thank you, Iris. Now we'll have a look at compliance using Microsoft Insider Risk Management. Within the Microsoft 365 compliance solution, we'll have 3 large domains of intelligent solutions to manage compliance. These are now projected on screen. One of the 3 is the information protection and governance. These has this kind of capabilities such as data loss prevention, information governance, information protection, and records management. The second domain is insider risk management, which holds functionalities such as communication compliance and insider risk management. Last but not least, we have the discovery and response, which holds functionalities such as audit, data investigations, data subject rights, and e-discovery. But right now, we're going to go a little bit more deeper into the insider risk management. Within insider risk management, we are generating a workflow to deal with insider risks. The workflow is projected here on screen. We start with policies where we are defining what we want, which users and which scope we want to tackle for this monitoring. In alerts, we're going to view which alerts have been created based on the policies we have set. When we look at triage, we're going to look at the alerts and see which ones need further investigation. Once we define those that need further investigation, we can create cases, case management. And then, after we have investigated those further, we can go and have different actions to mitigate those risks. Let's have a look with regard to our case that Iris has explained, how this can happen in insider risk management. This is the home screen of the Microsoft 365 Compliance Center. Let's navigate on the left-hand side towards the Insider Risk Management module. On top of the screen, you can see multiple tabs that are indicated towards the management workflows that we've just talked about. On the overview screen, you now see that Alex Wilbur has been indicated as a high-risk individual on the alert screen, linked to multiple policies that we have set before. When we deep dive into alerts, we see that 4 alerts need immediate review because they are indicated as high risk. When we look more down toward the screen, we see that there are 4 alerts with an indication of the policies that are relevant. Here, for data theft, we also see that there are no cases indicated, which we might need for further investigation. Let's have a look further into the actions of our dear Alex Wilbur. Alex Wilbur, here indicated again as high risk level with 4 active alerts, we see that his profile has been linked to a number of in-scope policies here on the bottom. When we look at his activity, we can see that he has performed multiple activities over the last few days, which include the download and sharing of information. However, one of them really catches our attention, which is number 2. In the number 2, we see that he has downloaded files from SharePoint which have very sensitive confidentiality labels linked to it. Some of them are even linked to GDPR. This might be one case that we want to further investigate during our case management. Cases can be made within the Cases tab. Here for this demo, we have not created such a case, but do have a look at a later point how to do that. When we have a look at our insider risk management workflow, we have looked at alerts, triage, and investigation. But please don't hesitate to also have a look at policies and actions for further reference. Next up, we're going to have Iris talk about privileged access management to manage insider risk.
Again, thank you, Kara. So let's have a chat about privileged access management. It's been around for a while, but it's not really implemented just yet, maybe because nobody knows how or what to do with it. Now let's have a chat about Azure Identity. Everybody knows Azure Identity by now, because otherwise you can't assign your licenses and subscriptions. However, Azure Identity governance is not really implemented well just yet. We have 3 main pillars: entitlement management, access reviews, and privileged identity management. Today we will mainly focus on privileged access management, including privileged identity management. It is very important to understand that, first of all, PAM, or privileged access management, is split up in 2 scenarios. First of all, the segregation of zones, where you restrict the zones with just enough administration. Second of all, there is the privileged identity management, where you have just-in-time administration. Just-in-time administration basically means if the IT administrator doesn't have the necessary rights to do his task, he can ask for approval, and then he's been auditing and has the rights for a certain amount of time. Mainly, by default, it's usually 8 hours. This is usually covered, that last part, with Azure Privileged Identity Management or on-prem Microsoft Identity Manager. Now let's have a look at the first part of the segregation. As you can see, we've split up the zones. First of all, you have your red forest. Second of all, you have your production. Usually companies have their production, but they don't have a red forest just yet. In the red forest, there live the approvers. They have a red scorecard workstation locked down just to the bare minimum to do the approval process either through Identity Manager or Azure PIM, or both. Second of all, you have your actual IT administrators who live in the blue zone, who wants to manage production, and they use privileged access workstations with, again, the least amount of rights, which is just enough administration. Now, let's go through a small demo where we talk about the PIM part in how to approve a session. I'm logging on here as Alex, being the IT administrator. As you can see, he's part of the Fabricam manufacturing company. And he logs on to our Azure Active Directory portal. In here, you can see we don't have global admin rights just yet. It already mentions it directly on the dashboard. So we go to Azure PIM. And here, we click on Activate to request the privilege of a global administrator. As you can see, he's eligible. That means he has the right to request the rights. He's not an admin just yet. Second, we ask for approval, and to make sure that it's actually Alex doing the approval, we have to do multi-factor authentication, which is, by the way, still a best practice. After logging on to the portal with multi-factor authentication, he then again gets the same view where he has to define his reason why he wants global admin rights. So in this scenario, he's going through, I need to update accounts in the Microsoft 365 admin portal, and he presses Activate. Now, don't be mistaken, he's activating the approval right. He doesn't have the rights just yet. First, we'll go through where you can see if he requested it. So here you can see these are my roles. I've requested this with this reason. And as you can see, pending approval. He has to wait for the approval. To prove that he doesn't have the rights just yet, you can see right here, he doesn't have access to that portal specifically yet. Next, we go through Megan's point of view. She's the approver. She lives in the Red Forest. So she starts her day-to-day job, and for the sake of the demo, we've used Outlook Online. So she starts her morning, logs on to Outlook, grabs a cup of coffee, and there you go. The first thing you get to see is a request from Alex Wilbur, the IT admin, to gain the right as an administrator. This is the request as he has filled it in, like we've seen earlier. And you can also see when he requested it, the start time. Here, I directly have the choice to click on Approve or Deny the request. It brings me directly to the portal for Identity Manager. Here you see, again, that same view with the only difference that I can actually approve it. When I click Approve, I have to define a justification for this. So in this case, I will say, go ahead, update those accounts. Confirm. And now the access has been approved. As of this moment on, Alex is a global admin, and only now, after the approval. Now, Alex, he's doing his job as well. He's doing his IT job. And at some point, he checks his mail. As you can see here again, I've received an email to say, you're now active. Your global administrator rights have been activated. So let's go through the portal. And here you can see in the auditing that it's actually approved. As you can see, add member to role completed. Next, again, as you can see, I'm still eligible to request the rights. But let's have a look at the active assignments. It's been activated. So as of now, I actually have the proof for myself, being Alex, that I truly am an admin. Now let's verify this. We're going through the same portal where I had the access denied earlier. Enter the password. And as you can see, I have been granted with those rights. I am now a global admin. Now, just to verify, let's go to the active users, as everybody knows this, and search ourselves, being Alex, of course, the IT admin. Here I am. Click on it. And as you can see, I've gained the rights as a global admin. Key takeaways, very important for you. First of all, make it multidisciplinary. Involve compliance, HR, legal, security, very important. Identify, monitor, and detect. That's what went wrong in the previous case because they didn't have monitoring whatsoever, so they couldn't define what was happening with the data. Start small and scale up. It's okay to start small because if you start everything at once, it will be a big mess, big chaos, and you will not be able to do anything anymore. You will lock yourselves out. So it's okay to start small. Don't forget, just enough administration, the least amount of rights. Just-in-time administration, make sure you have an approval process, you have auditing, and so on for the elevation of rights. And last but not least, a very important one is maximum 5 global admins. Nothing more, including your emergency account in case something does go wrong. Back to you, Kara.
As a closing note, I want to say thank you to our audience for joining this session, and of course Microsoft for inviting us to the Microsoft Security Week. If you have questions or topics that you want to further discuss, there is a Q&A session right after this, and we're very happy to welcome you there. Thank you, and see you next time.